sincerely hope this court could take this decision into considerations. So back to our submissions. The Nazir and our military had already launched a precaution to those inside community hall. And since 23 people surrendered, it was reasonable for Nazir and our soldiers to believe that those who inside were all combatants. And
It also indicates that there is a possibility that there are more civilians inside. Since some of them came out, but it's also possible some of them remain inside of the facilities.
Your Excellencies, since we have due the visible precaution to spare the civilians from the combatants, and further, our intention is to suspend the meetings. We are not intent to kill those people inside the community hall.
But the fire exchange lasted more than 20 minutes, only because you heard one gunfire from inside.
Your Excellencies, for there was no mention that there was any fire back from the BO credits. However, this did not imply that there was no any resistance from the BO credits. And moreover, Nazir and his military intention was to get inside the community hall instead of firing against the civilians. And according to paragraph 15 of facts, nearly 20 minutes of firing, this was about to military force broke down the gates and entered the hall. This was not against the civilian population.
Well, I think the military personnel found 56 dead bodies inside afterward.
So Your Excellencies, those 56 dead bodies were all combatants. Since we are in a self-defense, those people who attacked us was combatants, and that big bodies were all combatants.
Let's just clarify. So at the time when the 20-minute of fire started, was there an intention to kill?
No, Your Excellency, according to paragraph 15 of facts, nearly 20 minutes fire was in order get into the community hall, was not in order to
In
kill.
the end, 56 people died.
No, Your Excellency. Although there was still 56 people that died, we still sincerely that those people were all combatants. And since we were just fired back, we do not intention to kill the civilian population.
I do not see your argument that they fired because they want to enter. The sentence only said that after nearly 20 minutes of firing, the military forces broke down the gates and entered the hall. So there is a, in terms of time sequence, they started firing and they enter. Doesn't mean that they fire because they want to enter. It could be they fire because they want to kill.
Your Excellencies, since we know your concern, however, we still submit that Nazir and his subordinates was intent to suspend the meetings. And this, to suspend the meeting, in order to suspend the meeting, we need to get inside the community hall, and just like Your Excellency mentioned before, in paragraph 15 of facts, the sequence was the nearly 20 minutes of firing. We broke down the gates and entered the hall. There is no any instruction that say we.
Since you deemed they were competent, there is no need for you to just suppress the meeting. You have the right to kill.
Your Excellency, since we did want to decrease the casualties, we did not want to kill those, although they were combatants. We still want to decrease the casualties. So we still just suspend the meeting and kill those who just fired us. So we are in self-defense. There is no ground to say that we attack the civilian populations. So back to our submissions. Further, in order to suspend the meeting, Nazir chose the ground troop to besiege the community hall instead of using a bomb or other lethal weapons so as to decrease casualties. So, and while our military approached the community hall, there was a gunshot fired from the gates. The situation became so chaotic that Nazir was unable to give more precautions, and our military were forced to break down the gate in order to suppress the chaos.
if you want to suppress the chaos, you can just use water cannons as the fact stated in paragraph 5.
Your Excellencies, we know your concern. However, according to paragraph 15 of facts, Nasir received the reliable intelligence that mentioned that those people were all armed. And since in paragraph 5, those people were just throwing a stone to the militaries, they are different that if we just use the water cannon, we might get higher casualties. So moreover, as our military entered the community hall, we arrest 72 people instead of execute them. All this evidence proves that Nasir and his forces only intend to suspend the meeting. As a result, there is no ground to say that he has so-called intention to attack civilian population. So concerning Nasir's responsibility, the prosecutor must to prove this prison case fulfill 3 elements under Article 25 3A of Rome Statute. First, the accused is in a hierarchical system and could strictly control subordinates. Second, the accused is having essential contribution to the crime. And the last one, the accused is aware that the conduct would lead to crime. However, Your Excellencies, in this case, we have 2 submissions. First, Nasir lost his control of the organization. And the second, Nasir did not aware that his conduct would commit the crime. First, according to paragraph 15 of facts, Nasir ordered the force to besiege and secure the community hall. However, the instructions mentioned nothing related to extermination. The following military actions, such as broke into 4 groups and joined the conflict, were due to soldiers' discretion. Based on Katenga case, rendered by this Court Pretrial Chamber decision in 2008. The automatic execution of order during the operation are essential to constitute accused responsibility. In addition, also in Katenga case, the highest authority does not merely order the commission of the crime. He needs to essentially decide whether and how the crime will be committed. Your Excellencies, based on the paragraph 15 of facts, Nasir did not order the exact method to commit a crime. Also, as we mentioned before,
his instructions perhaps were not that clear, but the fact that he sent so many people with so many weapons, isn't it part of his expectation that this would be something that would actually result from his planning or his perception of the operation?
You see, the military personnel is 256. He's overwhelmed. 200 cadres for the EL members.
Your Excellencies, according to paragraph 15 of facts, respectfully responding to this question, Nasir provide 256 Donka military personnel. However, according to his reliable intelligence, those 200 credits in the community hall were all armed. In order,
military personnel were all armed.
Yes, Your Excellencies. However, his intention to suspend the meeting, as I mentioned before, he need to do well prepared to suspend the meeting and to suspend the meeting, and that the chaos was not expanded. As a result, he bring more amount of military to the community hall.
I mean, I understand your side of the interpretation, but it is possible to interpret what the planning beforehand as an intention to stop the meeting or the intention to actually commit mass murder. So if there are possibilities, which one should the court buy?
Your Excellencies, since concerning this question, we'd like to draw Your Excellencies to paragraph 13 of facts. Through the experience of exchanging fire with BLO, it is reasonable for Nasir and his military to believe the gunshot was a signal for starting a conflict. As a result, that is why he brought the militaries and to suspend the meetings. So back to our submissions. Second, for the paragraph 15 of fact, through the intelligence received, Nasir subjectively affirmed people inside the hall were all BLO crews. Nasir did not intend to attack the civilian population. Further, due to the difference between police and military, this accused attacked Your Excellency. Since my time expired, could I have more time to complete my conclusion?
1 minute.
Thus, he was not aware that the order would conduct a crime. So in conclusion, we submit that Colonel Nasir should not bear responsibility of committing a crime of extermination through his subordinates. So Your Excellencies, if you do not have further questions, this will conclude my submission. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. President and Your Excellencies. My name is Lin Chen Han. On behalf of the defense, I will submit 20 minutes for count 2 and count 3. May you please support. Now we're going to discuss count 2 concerning the crime under Article A to B9 of Rome Statute for protecting protected object. We have 2 submissions. First, our soldiers did not intend to attack the temple. Second, the temple was a military objective. For the first submission, the prosecutor has to prove that our soldiers intend to attack the temple. Your Excellencies, according to Benba case pre-trial chamber decision, negligence is not included under Article 30 of Rome Statute. Based on paragraph 22 of facts, Nazi soldiers were instructed to attack BLO leaders only. As his subordinates arrived, they had targeted on those combatants outside the street of the Butterfly Cafe.
You are not discussing about the Nazi soldiers rather than Nazi.
Your Excellencies, we are not discussing the Nazi soldiers, whether they committed crimes or not.
You are not.
Yes, we are going to discuss these parts.
Why? Because the prosecutor is charging Colonel Nazi rather than his soldiers.
Your Excellencies, because the prosecutor charges that based on his instruction, the soldiers attacked the temple. However, we would like to raise our opinion that our soldiers did not intend to attack a protected object. Back to our submissions. The whistle was blown to warn those people to escape. Even if they ran into the temple, our soldiers still encircled outside the temple and conduct a ground search instead of open fire directly. So the damages of the temple were accidental result. And for the second submission,
So how do you explain that it is accidental? Because at the time of the firing, they should have expected that by doing so, and for a prolonged period of time, there would be damages to the building itself.
Your Excellencies, we can see from paragraph 22 of fact, as those combatants ran inside the Butterfly Temple, they encircled the temple and conducted a ground search instead of open firing directly against the temple or
Right,
those
but that's what
leaders.
happened before the firing. So at the time of the firing, or during the firing, was there an intention to damage the temple?
Your Excellencies, we do know your concern. However, there's no intention to attack the temple. Alternatively, accidentally attack the temple, it was because the temple became a military objective and losing its protected status.
How do you differentiate between accidental and intentional?
Your Excellencies, if our soldiers really intended to attack the temple, they would not have conducted a ground search to target it.
When your
for
soldier
leaders.
knows that the temple should be protected and disregarding that fact and open fire, but knowingly that it will have damages to the temple, would that be considered maybe an indirect intention?
No, Your Excellencies, because the temple has already served as a shelter for those BLO leaders, which indicated its function for military action. So the accidental damages offered a military advantage for weakening those BLO leaders.
So what kind of military advantage was given?
Your Excellencies, we can see from paragraph 22 of facts, those BLO leaders were having a meeting with Cajun forces. So we, as Nazis, is in the point of view that he had to capture those BLO leaders in order not to let the Cajun's nuclear weapons to reach Duncan territory. So he instructed his soldiers specifically confined attack BLO leaders. He mentioned nothing relating to the temple. So after they ran into the temple, our soldiers they complied with his instruction to conduct a ground search first.
What's
Instead
the advantage given by the temple?
Your Excellencies, if I understand your questions correctly, you were asking that
What are the military advantages that the BLO members gain from that temple?
Your Excellencies, the accidental result that the soldiers attack the temple is that over the advantage for weakening BLO's influence and his meetings and their meetings. We can see.
Let me just clarify, because at the beginning you indicated maybe there was accidental incidents, but later on you argued that even if it is not, it is a military objective due to it creates certain military advantage to the BLO members so that it can lawfully attack intentionally or not. So my question is, what are the military advantages given to the BLO members for using that temple?
Your Excellencies, because BLO considered that the temple was a protected object under UNESCO's World Heritage, so that our soldiers would not attack the temple. So they used this temple to protect themselves from preventing our soldiers capturing them. However,
your soldiers can still go inside. I mean, there's no restrictions on searching the temple, but only firing it. They're not firing from the temple. How does that create a military advantage to the BLO members?
Your Excellencies, we can see from paragraph 22 of fact, after the soldiers ran inside a search, a gunshot was fired within. So there's no ground to believe that the BLO leaders had already used this butterfly temple to fight against our soldiers. So we have no choice but to exercise the right to self-defense.
So you are always arguing about your soldiers. Who is the defendant in the present case?
Your Excellencies, the defendant in our case is Michel Nazir.
So why do you want to discuss about your soldiers?
Because Your
The
Excellencies,
intention of your soldiers seems irrelevant to the intention of Nazir.
Your Excellencies, respectfully answering this question, because the prosecution charged Nazir with the individual responsibility that he ordered his soldier to attack the protected object. So we have to demonstrate that first, our soldiers did not really intend to attack the protected object. And second, Nazir did not have any intent to order his soldiers to attack Butterfly Temple. So as for responsibility of Nazir, under Article 25, 3b of Rome Statute in Count 2, we submit that Nazir did not intend to order his forces to commit a crime. Your Excellencies, based on paragraph 22 of fact, Nazir's instruction to the soldiers was specifically confined to attack against BLO leaders only. He did not mention anything relating to the temple, and he did not know that a likely alleged crime would be committed. In conclusion,
Counsel, given the proximity of the two locations, should he have been more careful?
Your Excellencies, if he could foresee that those BLO leaders would run into the temple, that he should be more careful about this.
It's
However,
next door.
yes, Your
Why
Excellencies.
couldn't he foresee?
Yes, Your Excellencies, we do know your concern. However, based on the intelligence that he received that those BLO leaders were having a meeting inside the Butterfly Cafe. However, the situation changed when they were approaching the cafe, a whistle was blown to warn those BLO leaders inside. However, this is not the affairs that he could have foreseen.
But what did he expect that the incident would spill over the cafe itself? It's hardly reasonable for him to expect those people would just stay in there and wait for death. So it is possible that they will run. So if they run, they might enter the temple.
Yes, Your Excellencies. So after those people ran into the temple, it immediately served as a shelter for those BLO leaders. So its function made its temple lose its protected status under the Rome Statute. However,
Right, I understand that, but my question is about what the defendant expected when he ordered the attack. So wouldn't that be part of his expectation of what might happen or where the incident might actually lead to? And if he actually expect that, shouldn't he be more careful in giving his order and maybe at least remind the soldiers that that's something that you shouldn't attack? Or if you actually need to fire, be extra careful.
Your Excellency, we consider that Nasir could not expect this situation because based on the intelligence, as we mentioned before, those people were just having a meeting at the cafe. But the whistle was blown to make the situation turn into a chaos. Moreover, if Nasir really want to weaken the BLO or suppress Bohemian people, they would not instruct his soldiers to search and conduct a ground search instead of firing directly or use a lethal weapon just directly against the temple. In conclusion, they should not bear the responsibility. Now we're moving to discuss count 3 regarding the crime under Article A2 of Rome Statute for torture. We submit that the detaining power did not intend to inflict severe physical and mental suffering for purpose. First, concerning the condition of the detention center, according to paragraph 26 and 27 of facts. First, the reason why the detainees lived in isolation was for preventing pollution and riot inside the detention center. But we still allow them.
Does the motive behind solitary confinement matter?
Your Excellencies, our motive behind this detention is for not only to protect the social order around Boham area, and also to protect the detainees from the conflicting area. And this is the reason why we detain.
I mean, you refer to the fact that solitary confinement was conducted because you want to avoid collusion.
Yes, Your
So my
Excellency.
question is, does that motive matter?
Yes, Your Excellencies. Based on paragraph 20.
No, I mean, for the purpose of evaluating whether solitary confinement was torture, why is it necessary for us to understand why it was solitary confinement? Wouldn't the result be the same in terms of the mental or perhaps physical impact on the detainees? Why would the motive matter?
Your Excellencies, we can see from paragraph 25 of fact, the police have plenty evidence that these arrested persons have engaging in transporting lethal weapons and anything related to BLO members. And BLO members had been making the social order around Boham area a mess. So we consider that it's our motive to let them live in isolation. However, we still allow them to take a walk in the backyard and send messages to their families. Second, since it was during the armed conflict, materials were all rationed. And finally, when the guards found out several people needed medical treatment, they did take steps to deal with it. So in the first round, they transferred them away in order not to cause epidemic inside the detention center. And in the second round, the authority invited ICRC to visit and get advices and arrange medical treatment to improve their environment in very short time.
Let's not talk about the efforts made to improve the situation, but talk about the actual situation. Does it amount to the level of torture in your definition?
Your Excellencies, we consider that these did not amount the severity of torture. According to Kashiyama case trial chamber judgment rendered by ICTR in 1999, serious bodily harm means harm that causes serious injury to external, internal organ or senses. However, in the present case, we invited ICRC to improve their living environment together in very short time.
That's not the only definition used for torture, right? Mentally and physically can also count.
Yes, Your
Actually
Excellency.
suggests that in this present case does not rise to the level of torture.
And before ICRC's visit, there already has been 60 detainees who committed suicide.
Your Excellencies, we do know you're concerned about the suicide, and we are sincerely sorry about that. So, respectfully answering your questions, we consider that it's reasonable for the detainees to suffer several isolation because they do against the preventing detention law. So this law the domestic law make the police to carry out the detention for these seasons. And for the second, regarding to the suicide, as we mentioned before, it's reasonable that they live in isolation for preventing pollution. However, our detention centers still allow them torture them, they would not have allowed them to communicate with the outside world, or invited ICRC to arrange medical treatment.
But that was still about the intention of the torture. We're talking about what are the thresholds which should be used to determine if the torture has been met, and your client should be considered as violating the crimes of torture.
The fact that the situation could have been worse is not a valid argument when we determine whether there is torture or not. There needs to be certainly the standards or tests that we can tell whether the situation in the present case is mere mistreatment or it reaches the level of torture.
Your Excellencies, we consider that the threshold to constitute the torture is that the authority intentionally to cause the internal or external organs or sense injuries. However, the prosecution failed to submit that in the present case, the authority did not conduct such act to make those detainees suffering. Instead, we arrange them the guards did their best to arrange their basic medical treatment and daily need.
The prosecution has also argued that the failure to provide basic needs, including hygiene, food, should be considered a torture situation. Do you agree with that?
Your Excellencies, we did not agree with prosecution because it was during the armed conflict. Food and water was what the guards got ration every day. And also, there are nearly
Does the level, the threshold of torture differ in times of peace and in times of war?
Yes, Your Excellencies, the threshold may differ in time of peace and in time of war. Your Excellencies, we can see as the Third Geneva Convention or the Additional Protocol 1. Under all circumstances, the authority should guarantee every kind of human treatment. And in the present case, the guards did their best to maintain their basic daily need, including the food and water and their medical treatment.
That particular provision or that standard you mentioned doesn't prove that in times of war you can treat them worse. It just said human treatment, but it doesn't say that if you can do something that you can't do in peacetime.
Your Excellencies, we did not treat them worse. Instead, we invited ICRC to improve their living environment together in that just after the confinement in very short time. And for the second submissions, for the purpose of the detention, the prosecution failed to establish that the detention was used for any purpose. However, we still want to argue that, Your Excellencies, based on paragraph 25 and 29 of facts, the Milwaukee Chief of Police informed the public that the arrests were to maintain social order for the upcoming religious festival. There is no sufficient evidence to make this court substantially believe that inside the old building, the detention did commit any act to obtain information.
Sorry, is that the only purpose that's identified for the elements of torture?
Yes, Your Excellencies, under Article A2A2 and the elements of crime rendered by ICC, proposable element is an important element under torture.
Right, but I mean, so obtaining information is one of them.
Yes, Your Excellencies.
So are there others?
Yes, Your Excellencies, we consider that in the present case, there's no purpose for such as inflicting compassion upon those detainees. We were just trying to maintain social orders and trying our best to maintain their daily treatment.
To maintaining social order be one of the purpose for you to carry out those torturous actions.
Your Excellencies, we can see from elements of crime, a sufficient nexus must exist between inflicting severe suffering and the purpose. However, in the present case, the motivation of the detention was to maintain the social order. This is why we arrested those detainees at the western part and transferred them to the eastern part of Milwaukee because we wanted to get rid of the conflicting area. However, in the detention center, we did not commit any act for purpose. Now we are going to discuss responsibility of Nazir under Article 28A of Rome Statute in Count 3. We have two submissions. First, Nazir did not have effective control over EDS. Second, due to the lack of effective control, he could not take necessary and reasonable measures. To begin with, from paragraph 19 of Fact, BDS signed a contract directly with Donghak government to provide security services. All organizations within Donghak government could order them. Further, they were famous for deploying forces by themselves. This is the reason why the police could request BDS to arrest BLO members and secure the detention center. Therefore, Nasser did not exercise effective control over BDS in count 3. Second, due to the lack of effective
Since
control,
BDS is an integral part of the Donghak forces, security forces, why Colonel Nasser did not have any authority over them?
Your Excellencies, although BDS was formally integrated under Donghan military, and however, this is not sufficient to satisfy that Nasser exercised effective control. According to Benbach case rendered by this court in 2016, we should have access to exercise the Excellencies since my time expired. Thank you, Excellencies. According to Benbach case, we should have access to exercise the de facto powers such as order and deploy over the forces. So, in the present case, it was the police, based on the contract, requested BDS to arrest those BLO members and carry out detention. Therefore, Nasser did not have effective control, and he could not take necessary and reasonable measure. So, he should not bear the command responsibility. Your Excellencies, if you do not have further questions, this will conclude my submissions. Thank you, Your Excellencies.
The prosecutors have reserved 2 minutes for rebuttal. You will be reminded when there is 1 minute left and shall finish the rebuttal before time is up. Now the prosecutor may start when ready.
Mr. President, Your Excellencies, good afternoon. May it please the court. I will be rebutting the defenses with the following arguments. Number one, Your Excellencies, the defenses are claiming that in the community hall they were acting in self-defense. However, according to Article 33(1)(c) of the Rome Statute, you still need to consider the proportionate attack being done. And in this case, according to the facts in 15, 1/4 of them were killed in the community hall, which shows it was not proportionate enough. And number two, Your Excellencies, according to the count 2, of the precautionary measures they've done, Your Excellencies, they've not mentioned that when there was a gunshot inside, they actually shot down for 20 minutes. It's actually not the precaution measure stated as the second Article 2 Hague Convention Article 7. And number 3, regarding the facts, no one said that there was a whistle was blown by which party. And number 2, again, in the fact, it also did not say they did a ground search of the temple. So now, regarding our fourth point, in this case, what we see, he had not restricted his order because, as we've stated, what he did when he got the instruction, he immediately ordered the forces to do so. And now, on count 3, Your Excellencies, according to fact 27, there was no fact that stated there was collusion here. And for the purpose, Your Excellencies, according to the Lilac 2001 ICTY trial judgment, the purpose may not be the primary one. In this case, if the defense had not mentioned, but if you were to look into the fact 27, they were all caught merely practicing religious procession. So we believe the purpose was, there was also purpose for the discriminatory action on the religion. Now regarding the detention law that the defense had stated, we do acknowledge that you can lawfully, sorry, Your Excellency, this concludes my arguments in Your Excellencies.
The defendants have reserved 2 minutes for sir rebuttal. You will be reminded when there is 1 minute left and shall finish the sir rebuttal before the time is expired. Now the defendants may start when ready.
The Excellencies, for the rebuttal, for the third rebuttal. For point 1, responding no response, our military choose a manner that reduce damage to minimum. And since we do not mean to cause the maximum casualties, there is no ground to say that our proportionality are away from the self-defense. And for the second point, concerning the purpose of tortures, we consider that was a misstatement by the Mawani Travel Police. We can see from paragraph 29 of facts, the matters of detention and harassment were all made in accordance with domestic law following legal proceedings. Besides, the prosecution failed to prove that inside the old building, the guards did not commit any act to obtain information. And moreover, to respond the rebuttals, according to Article 6 of World Heritage Convention in 1960, states have duty not to deliberate damage to world heritage. And this duty also includes humankind as a whole. Your Excellencies, we can see from paragraph 22 of facts, Nasir instructed his soldiers to target BLO members only. This reflects by the fact that his subordinates encircled and searched inside the temple, instead of deliberately attacking the temple. As a result, the mental element is not satisfied under Article 30 of Rome Statute. So at the end of the rebuttal, the defendant respectfully hold this honorable court could declare Conor Nasir is not criminally responsible for crime against humanity under Article 7.1b, war crime under Article 8.2b9 and 8.2a2 of Rome Statute. Thank you, Your Excellencies.
Counsel, thank you for your statements. This concludes the oral arguments in the present case of prosecutor versus Colonel Michel Nazir. Now we will invite our judges to give feedback about the performance of the prosecutors and defendants.
不好意思，我们刚才在讨论要用中文还是用英文。就是先谢谢两队，就是就是都看出来大家都很认真，然后有很努力的想要回答我们的问题这样。那大概几点就是建议嘛。那不管是未来各位还要不要从事这类的活动，或者是说其中一队去比国际赛的时候，就是可以参考这样。第一个是就是在回答问题的时候，就是这个可能是经验的关系，就是有时候大家在，尤其可能在第一波、第二波问题的时候，大家还站得住。那到了第三波会再往下的时候呢，就是会看起来，就是那个表情很明显的，就是告诉我说，那种就是倒抽一口气那种。所以就是这当然如果大家准备比较完整的一点的时候，比较不会有这个问题，但偶尔就是会有一种就会被 caught off guard。所以就是可能是在自己等于是就是态度上面，或者说自己在准备的时候要想一下，说如果有这种情形的话，你可以有什么样的因应措施这样。那下一个是就在回答问题的时候，因为各位可能比到现在已经比到第4场了，所以有时候你们听裁判问题听了两个字之后，就觉得我知道裁判在问什么，但你们其实不知道，所以就是就是有时候要稍微仔细一下听，因为有时候可能裁判没有要问。因为就是各位准备比赛到现在，就是可能是一层论点一层回放，然后已经好几层下去，裁判不见得在问第4层或第5层的事情，很可能在问前面的事情。所以就是有时候自己跳下去呢，也不见得是好事，因为这可能不是裁判想听的，或者裁判可能就会觉得有一种就是你好像自己推论的太多的这种感觉。所以就是会建议说，就是这边要小心一点。然后最后一点是。这种比赛，就是尤其是打到后面一点段落的时候，那个每个双方的弱点啊，就是大家都知道，就是双方知道，裁判也都知道，所以有时候你就是必须要勇敢的去承认有些事情你证不出来，或者说有些事情你就必须要放弃。那尽量不要就是想要什么都抓，因为什么都抓听起来到后来就是自我矛盾。所以会建议就是在尤其后段一点的比赛或后段一点的 argument 的时候，自己要稍微注意一下。
一样就先恭喜两队进到决赛，然后表现都说，当然看得出还是有点紧张，我有点压抑，因为其实到第4场，但双方的紧张还是看得出来。但就主要有3点要跟大家讲，就是其实特别是到越后面的比赛，裁判其实还是对这题目很熟，所以有时候他在问问题的时候，我知道每队在上来讲的时候，你一定会很高， 会有你的铺陈，我要点1、2、3，就是想这样。裁判有时候说有的我根本不在乎嘛，或者觉得更没有什么问题。1、2、3，他就一开始问他就先问第3点。那这时候大家在讲论点的时候，其实可以有一些弹性。比方说哦，我等一下会讲到这个，先让我前面讲。也许他前面他根本就不在乎，或他就是采对你有利的行政，他就只想知道第3点。那如果你还是花很多的时间再回去讲那个的话，不如你就直接给自己的论点一点弹性，就直接回答裁判的问题。因为如果你前面花很多时间，后面他要问的问题他其实没有办法去问，或他没有获得解答的话，那其实会对大家会比较不利。然后第二个是大家要真的去注意裁判到底想问什么，因为这其实除了刚刚那个戴教授讲的之外，其实有另外一个就是他问你的问题，他不一定真的就是问你是或不是。每个问题后面他可能会有他的理论的问题，你不管是问他说哦，你觉得是这样吗？你说是，但其实裁判想知道的是你回答是后面的理论是什么或原因是什么。所以你要真的去了解裁判对那个问题背后真正的意思是什么，你才可以让裁判满足。不然原则上你说是，他就说那为什么？那如果你知道他要知道的是后面的，直接讲出来，可以省掉一些时间。然后包括另外一个就是在用字在表达的时候一定要注意，就是不要用太多的赘字。当然有时候你可能被丢一个问题，需要时间稍微喘一下，就是你会被吓到。你会讲一些中间那个连接词嘛？我觉得这个问题很重要，我知道你的理解。但如果你特别是讲这种我了解你，understand your concern，那你最好就是很高兴。所以你讲完这一句，然后后面奇怪，那你不是了解我的问题，后面又讲的跟我想的不一样，那裁判心里就会有问号。然后用的字除了刚刚那个之外，法律的论述你用的每一个字都要很小心。刚刚有一些字特别你用出来，它有法律上的定义的时候，那你就要确定你知道，那你要知道怎么用。或者是 customary law、self defense， 你也许有的是它可以有法律上意义，它也有一般上的意义，但用的时候一定要小心，因为如果被追的话，那你就要确保你知道；如果不会用的话，那就是要确保你不会把那些字讲出来。以上简单。
谢谢黄评审。那我这边几乎2位评审都说了，那其实我看见就是有几个可能是共同的缺点。一开始的时候，你不要想要就跟写论文一样，你不要写一大堆，老师都知道，指导教授都知道，那我们一看就知道，一直翻。奇怪，我想要知道你知道什么，结果你一直讲我知道的，那这个就是在浪费彼此时间。所以像 prosecutor 这边，其实你早上已经扮演过了。那个构成要件那边，其实你可以预判，我们都不想去听，我们想要知道你还知道什么，尤其是你已经经过2天，你招数都已经用尽，我们想要知道你还有多少招数可以使出来。那站在我们这边，我们想要知道，那你到底知道多少？你到底知道几个那个 case 的 analysis 或者是 rules analysis， 你到底知道多少？我们想要知道这些，所以会一直问。那所以当一开始的时候，你就从找这些，觉得我听过了，我就觉得我听过了啊。所以这个是第一点。然后第二个就是说，同样的也是因为这样的，所以你要讲中文，然后你们2队都很好，就是说你的 eye contact 都很够，都知道都会看到我，所以你要看的时候就是说你自己的重点，你想要把自己的优点在哪里表现出来，你知道这个很多，可是你又不能太啰嗦，因为你太啰嗦，你讲到最后又是我们知道的，那变成又是一个失分了哈。所以知道什么时候该讲什么话，其实是蛮重要的。就是这当然以后要多练了，但是我很这个欣赏大家的，就是非常欣赏，就是说我觉得你们真的都不错，就是很用心在这样子的这个 case 上面，然后都能够找到一些相关的，不管是习惯法或者是这个条约法，然后 case law 我们也都找到，也都能够讲得出来。就是当我们这个 question from bench 的时候，都答得出来，这是我觉得蛮相当，希望你们继续。